Hub airports play a very crucial role in the whole air cargo supply chain with their infrastructure to handle huge volumes. The Singapore Changi Airport is the ninth largest air freight hub in the world in terms of volume. They handled in 2024 2 million tons of cargo. That's 15% increase compared to the previous year. What is more interesting about the airport is that they are increasing their capacity significantly. Hi, this is Libin Chakakurian from Astat Media Group. We are here in Air Cargo Europe 2025 and the Transport Logistics Exhibitions. Right now joining me is the Vice President of Cargo Business Division of Changi Airport. Jaisey, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. As I mentioned, we saw Changi Airport volumes increasing by 15% in the last year. Tell me what contributed to that, and specifically what are the factors, and do you think those factors are relevant for the future?
So we had a very good recovery year last year, right? So as you mentioned, we closed the year with close to 2 million tons of cargo. That is about 15% growth year on year. I would say that the strong growth is attributable to a confluence of factors. I think first and foremost, I think the world saw a very good recovery of the global electronics market, right? So we do see an increase in exports of capital equipment as well as semiconductors. Also due to the ongoing maritime disruption last year, right, some of the global businesses as well as logistics partners have also shifted a bit from ocean to intermodal transportation as well as air freight. And the third part is on cross-border e-commerce. So the last 12 months or in 2024, cross-border e-commerce continue to show strong growth. And some of these flows actually come through Changi Airport. And of course, we also have very strong domestic consumption of cross-border e-commerce.
And the first thing that you mentioned is about the electronics and the semiconductors. Can you elaborate a little more about that? What is happening over there in terms of market demand and how you are preparing for that?
I would say that it's quite an exciting time for semiconductors right now. Over the next couple of years, we will definitely see very strong growth, right, in terms of demand for AI data centers, right, as well as electrification. So as you know, I think with the rise of electric vehicles, there are more semiconductor components as well as parts. So that actually drive the demand for chips, right, as well as semiconductors equipment in terms of supporting the new chips manufacturing plants.
The other thing that you mentioned is about the e-commerce. That's very important. You are positioned in the Southeast Asia, and you are the biggest hub in Southeast Asia, in fact. And you handle a lot of cargo, specifically e-commerce. There was a lot of trends last year. Give us an idea about how you are preparing to handle the increase in the volume of e-commerce.
Yeah, just to recount, the famous numbers that is quoted by IATA, right? So today, I think about 20% of global air freight is actually accounted by e-commerce. And this share is slated to grow over the next couple of years to about maybe 1/3, in a few years' time, right? And we talk about the different fast-rising e-commerce market. Definitely, Southeast Asia is a very strong market for cross-border e-commerce growth, right? And we see Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam as with the fast-growing consumption market. Therefore, the demand for e-commerce will definitely be very strong. And how Changi Airport is capturing this market, right? E-commerce is all about speed, right? So I think having the very strong connectivity is very key. So today, Changi Airport, we are connected to about 170 cities worldwide, and this is operated by close to 100 airlines, and within which 50 of the city links are actually freighter city links, right? And we are not resting our laurels. We want to continue to deepen and strengthen our connectivity globally as well as regionally, right? So that actually gives the kind of agility, speed, and accessibility to e-commerce players and e-commerce logistics companies.
One interesting fact about Changi Airport that I see is the kind of investments that you're announcing, or the infrastructure developments that you're doing at the airport. Specifically, the East Industrial Zone, for example, you're preparing for the completion of that. Tell me about the kind of investment that you're putting in ahead of the completion of that zone.
Yeah. So I think what you just asked is a very topical question because just a few weeks ago, right, we have just broke ground for our new Terminal 5. And the event was actually graced by our Prime Minister. So alongside with Terminal 5, right, there is also a new air cargo village that we are developing, right? It's called Changi East Industrial Zone, or CEIZ for short as an acronym, right? So both the new Terminal 5 and CEIZ are slated to open sometime in the mid-2030s, right? And together with the Changi West, or rather the existing infrastructure, so both developments will be seamlessly connected, right? So that we operate as a single and integrated air hub. And with the opening of CEIZ in mid-2030s, that's where we will start to redevelop, right, and remodel the existing air cargo infrastructure. And along with expansion of adjacent air logistics park, we expect our annual handling capacity to actually double from the current 3 million tons to about 5.4 million tons.
In terms of the infrastructure developments, I could also see there are partners coming in. For example, the express operators, the integrators, DHL, FedEx, they're all announcing different infrastructure developments, collaborations at the airport. Give us an idea about what is really happening from their angle.
I would say that over the years, global express integrators such as DHL, UPS, and FedEx, right, have actually opened regional hubs at Changi Airport. So, for instance, DHL has a South Asia hub. In fact, last year, right, they have completed their expansion, which saw a 30% increase in their sorting and scanning capacity at Changi Airport. Right. FedEx has their South Pacific hub at Changi Airport. So one notable development over the last couple of months was that they started to operate a new direct non-stop flight between Singapore and Anchorage that actually provide dedicated capacity for Singapore and our region, Southeast Asia region, to actually export and to be a conduit, of flows between Southeast Asia as well as the US market. And another Chinese player, Shunfeng Express, in partnership with CEIZ, have also opened a new airside facility at Changi Airport that actually helped to boost their efficiency, right? And is also a very good stepping stone, for their future expansion in Singapore and Changi Airport.
As somebody who is looking after the cargo business division, Jaisey, give me an idea about what are your main priorities right now, immediate priorities for you?
I would say that, this year, I think most of us would agree that we are operating in an increasingly challenging environment, right? I think notwithstanding this, I think we need to be very razor sharp, right, and focus on our core fundamentals. I would just name a few core elements, right? First is connectivity as well as accessibility. So I've elaborated earlier, how we are talking to our airline partners to continue to deepen our network. Second is reliability. How might we continue to offer predictability to global businesses as well as logistics players? Just to quote one example. So last August, we have launched a community use case called the Truck Dot Slot Booking, or TDSP use case, right? To us, I think it's a game changer, for us to actually transform, from conventional uncoordinated cargo lodgement and collection at the air freight terminals to a more collaborative approach, right, where we can offer transparency and reliability to truckers as well as cargo agents, and also to give more supply chain visibility, right? So that is one way on how we are working on enhancing reliability. The third element is capabilities. Over the next few years, we expect the growth of special cargo to actually outpace general cargo. I think by special cargo, I'm referring to like pharmaceuticals, perishables, high-tech products, right? So in the last couple of years, together with our partners, we have been investing quite heavily on providing a very robust airport cold chain, right? We continue to, for example, expand our local network of IATA CEIZ pharma companies, because we think that certification and standard is utmost important to global pharma shippers, right? And we continue to work with our different partners to make sure that our airport offer an unbroken cold chain, right? And the last piece is actually capacity. I think earlier on I touched upon the new Terminal 5 as well as CEIZ, but that is in the longer horizon. So in the short to intermediate term, right, we continue to want to work with our partners to grow our capacity to keep pace with growing demand. So for instance, we work with CEIZ, right? So CEIZ recently have actually introduced a new BUP handling center, right, that helps to concentrate and consolidate, BUP export lodgement, right, in the dedicated facility, right? That would actually fasten the turnaround time of BUP handling right, allowing shippers and cargo agents a much later cut-off time, which gives them the kind of flexibility and agility. SATS has also recently announced a 250 million investment in their Singapore hub that comprises of modernizing their ground service fleet, as well as upgrading their existing air freight terminal to be able to expand and offer more capacity to our customers.
Can you also articulate the kind of capacity improvement that we can see at the airport? First of all, the second thing is Changi Airport is the 9th largest air freight hub in the world. Do you have any ambitions in climbing up?
I mean, certainly, we want to continue to work with our customers, be it whether is it our airline partners or our freight forwarder partners, to actually use Singapore as a conduit and to grow their business at Changi Airport. So earlier on, I mentioned that our capacity have to keep pace, with their demand as well as business plans. So T5 and Changi East Industrial Zone, right, definitely is our longer term capacity expansion plan. But in the meantime, right, we're also working with our partners to continue to enhance our capacity. So truck dock slot booking is one where we want to make sure that we have enough truck dock capacity, to serve our customers better. By working with SATS and dnata, our two ground handlers, with the plan to modernize their terminal, right, that would actually help to, support the demand of our airline partners as well as freight forwarding community.
Is there any target that you have kept yourself in terms of growing and climbing up in the ladder in terms of being now the 9th largest air freight hub?
As I mentioned earlier on, right, we will want to grow alongside with our airline partners as well as our logistics and freight forwarding community. Definitely, we see that Southeast Asia, right, is a fast-growing region, right? I mean, just to share with you, according to the recent IMF GDP forecast, Southeast Asia is slated to grow much faster, right, than most parts of the world. So we are very confident that Singapore and Changi Airport, we are well placed geographically and strategically, right, to actually help businesses to tap into this market, right, and also position Singapore as a key logistics gateway to the region.
Jaisey, thank you so much for joining us today, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.